Are you stuck while solving math problems? Worry no more, because the goal of this channel is to transform the difficult to understand competencies in mathematics into easy to learn. Welcome to this video lesson, and I hope you stay tuned until the end. Thank you! May mga sitwasyon sa totoong buhay na pwedeng magrepresenta o maglarawan ng isang function. So tulad halimbawa ng mga ito: speed of the runner and environmental temperature, velocity of a ball thrown and the amount of time. May mga pagkakataon din na ang function is defined by multiple sub-functions at tinatawag ito na piecewise defined function. Ano nga ba ang piecewise defined function? A piecewise defined function is a function defined by at least two equations or pieces, each of which applies to a different part of the domain. Piecewise defined functions can take on a variety of forms. Their pieces may be all linear or combination of any functional forms. A jeepney ride cost 7 pesos for the first 4 kilometers, and each additional integer kilometer adds 1 peso and 50 centavos to the fare. Use a piecewise function to represent the jeepney fare in terms of the distance d in kilometers. Suppose that the distance from your house to school is 7.5 kilometers. How much is the fare? To solve this problem, I will be using the 4-step process for problem solving of George Polya, the father of modern problem solving. So I'm going to show you his method of problem solving to help step you through this problem. Step number 1. Understand the problem. So you're going to find here the known and the unknown, because if you are unclear as to what needs to be solved, then you are probably going to get wrong results. So also, this is where you will be assigning your variable. I have here visual illustration to help us understand the problem. So, the regular fare for the first 4 kilometers is 7 pesos. And then, there is an additional of 1 peso and 50 centavos for every integer kilometer. What is required or not known in the problem is the fare from your house to school. Step number 2. Devise a plan. So you are going to come up here with a way to solve the problem. And one way to solve the problem is we're going to set up an equation. Before we can actually do that, let us translate first some English statements into mathematical statements. So, for example, in the problem, the fare is 7 pesos when the distance is from 0 to 4 kilometers. Mathematically, when d is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 4, the fare is 7 pesos. But when the distance is beyond 4 kilometers or when d is greater than 4, the fare can be translated mathematically to 7 plus 1.5 times the floor of d minus 4. So since we are going to consider only the integer kilometer, so we have a special function for that. And we call it floor function. So floor function is the greatest integer that is less than or equal to the given number x. So this function is fit to the problem because we are going to consider only the integer kilometers. Okay, so our equation here for d or for distance greater than 4 is 7 pesos, that is the regular fare, plus 1 peso and 50 centavos times the distance beyond the regular. So that is the floor of d minus 4. So we have 7 plus 1.5 times the floor of d minus 4. Let us use f of d to represent the fare in terms of the distance d. Finally, the piecewise function that represents the problem is f of d is equal to 7 pesos. So when the distance is from 0 to 4 kilometers, and f of d is equal to 7 pesos plus 1.5 cents times the floor of d minus 4. So that is when the distance is greater than 4. Step number 3. Carry out the plan. So let us solve. So since in the problem the distance from your house to school is 7.5 kilometers, so 7.5 kilometers is greater than 4 kilometers, or it is beyond 4 kilometers. So we are going to use the function or the equation f of d is equal to 7 plus 1.5 times the floor of d minus 4. Okay, so since d is 7.5, so we have f of 7.5 is equal to 7 plus 1.5 times the floor of 7.5 minus 4. So let us solve first, no? 7.5 minus 4. So 7.5 minus 4 is 3.5. And what is now the floor of 3.5? So the floor of 3.5 is positive 3. Okay, so we have now 7 plus 1.5 times 3. So let us solve here multiplication first. So 1.5 times 3. So 1.5 times 3 is 4.5. So we have now 7 plus 4.5. And the answer is 11.5. Meaning to say the fare from your house to your school is 11 pesos and 50 centavos. Finally, let us check and interpret the result. So since the distance from your house to school is 7.5 kilometers, so meaning the excess is 3.5 kilometers. And we are going to consider only the integer kilometer. So we are going to consider only 3 kilometers. So 3 kilometers times 1 peso and 50 cents. So that is 4 pesos and 50 cents. Plus the regular fare of 7 pesos. So that is 11 pesos and 50 centavos. So hence, our answer makes sense, or our answer is correct. Example. A user is charged 300 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan, which includes 100 free text messages. Messages in excess of 100 are charged 1 peso each. Represent the amount a consumer pays each month as a function of the number of messages M sent in a month. Suppose that at the end of the month, you have sent 500 text messages. how much should your monthly bill be? Step number 1. So in the problem, so you have there a monthly plan of 300 pesos. So including 100 text messages. So aside from that, there is also 1 peso per text in excess of 100 text messages, and a total of 500 text messages sent at the end of the month. Okay, so those are the known in the problem. What is required here or unknown is the amount a consumer pays at the end of the month. So take note that the amount is based on the number of text messages sent in a month. Okay, so say we'll be using the notation A of M. And A of M here stands for the amount a consumer pays at the end of the month based on the number of text messages M sent in a month. Step number 2. In the problem, the consumer will only pay 300 pesos when the number of text messages sent M is from 0 to 100 inclusive. So the equation for that is A of M is equal to 300. So when M is from 0 to 100 inclusive. In the case that there is an excess, meaning the number of text messages sent is more than 100 or greater than 100, so our equation for that is A of M is equal to 300 plus the excess, so M minus 100 times 1 peso per excess, so times 1. So 1 times M minus 100 is just M minus 100. So our equation is 300 plus M minus 100 when M is greater than 100 or when the number of text messages is more than 100. Step number 3. Carry out the plan or solve. So the equation or the function that we're going to use, as I have mentioned a while ago, is A of M is equal to 300 plus M minus 100. The reason again is the number of text messages sent is more than 100. So 500 is greater than 100. So now let us solve for A of M or the amount paid by the consumer at the end of the month. So since M is 500, so we have A of 500 is equal to 300 plus M again is 500 minus 100. So to solve this or to simplify this, let us do first the operation inside the parentheses. So let us perform first 500 minus 100. And 500 minus 100 is 400. So now we have 300 plus 400. So 300 plus 400 is 700. So therefore, A of M or the amount paid at the end of the month by the consumer is 700. The last step is we're going to look back. So meaning to say, you're going to check if you use all your information and let us make it sure that the answer makes sense. So in the problem, so all the information were used. And if we're going to think, the amount that the consumer will pay is the regular monthly plan of 300 plus the excess. So the excess is 100 is subtracted from 500, so that is 400. So times 1 peso per text messages. So that is 400. So 400 plus 300 is 700. So our answer is correct or makes sense.